So initially, when I was in college, I was one of the few African Americans at my college that was graduating from agricultural finance. So I was actually in the ag department. So most people say, well, how did you get into that department? Because I wanted to, being in agriculture, I wanted to go into commodities and stocks.
Okay.
And I got into that department because as a football player, I'm not proud of this, by the way, but as a football player, I thought I was going to play professional football.
Okay.
And then by my junior year, when I started realizing that maybe I wasn't going to make it, I said, man, I have to graduate. I have to actually get out of school. And Dawn, that was one of those moments where I actually, it's times in your life where you just break down and you have to have a conversation with yourself.
Absolutely.
Because is nobody else that can help you. So I had to find myself. And so what I actually did was I went to, for the first time, I looked at the undergraduate book.
Okay.
And I realized that I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I started seeking out people. And it's the same thing you do in sales. I started seeking out mentors. And so I went to one of the professors on a campus, and he was an African-American male and one of the few on our campus. So I said, I need help. I need to find a way to do what I need to do, which is graduate. And he handed me the book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X. And it was really one of the first books that I read cover to cover. And I fell in love with this man who had thoughts and ideas. And so when I looked at that, I saw that we had to not only have a career, but we needed to do something that was for us. And so I wanted to own land. And so that's how I got into agriculture. And when I got out of school, my oldest brother got hold of me. So this is a different plan.
Right.
Because my brother's about 19 or 20 years older than me.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So just to give you a little history, I'm the youngest of 9, and he was the second oldest of 9.
Oh, wow.
So our parents, so I don't know if anybody in the audience who has a large family knows that when your parents were younger, the siblings that were younger had a different relationship with dad and mom than I had.
Sure. Absolutely.
As the youngest. They remember when my parents were young. I remember when I had the oldest parents that would come up to the school.
Okay.
And people thought my mother was my grandmother.
Wow.
You know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my older brother got a hold of me, and he's always been an entrepreneur. And so when I was ready to graduate, he said, "Don't go get a job." He said, "I have something for you." He said, "We're going to go around Chicago," and he said, he was an accountant, and he said, "I'm going to make you a sales guy, and we're going to go to the small businesses on the south side of Chicago, and we're going to offer our services. And what we're going to do is we're going to offer them bookkeeping and sales."
Okay.
Now, at the exact same time, one of my best friends had just got a job with a Fortune 500 company selling copiers, a major company. And so he would tell me about sales and tell me about, he had got this new job making $21,000 a year. I was like, whoa, 21,000?
Isn't it amazing how
Yeah.
it used to be a lot?
Oh, that was everything. Now the only problem was my brother was paying me $50 a week. And my dad was like, you know, when you go to college, and I came back home and I was living with my dad, he was like, you need to get a real job.
Right.
And so, But my brother threw me out there, Dawn, and this, I worked for him. I worked with him for 2 years, and this was one of the best experiences that I could get, because as a 22-year-old young man, I learned how to talk to people. I learned how to find out what their needs were, and I learned how to close deals with him.
Yes, that's
So
interesting.
yeah, so I actually learned these valuable lessons because we worked with a catering company. Our main customer was a caterer, so he did wedding cakes.
Okay, yeah.
And he did wedding cakes, and we went into the catering part of it. So he was doing probably 4 or 5 cakes a weekend.
Okay.
When I started with him, we started doing 14, 15 cakes, 3, 4 weddings a weekend. This was for my brother. We partnered with a catering business.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
we offered our services to this caterer.
Okay.
So instead of going around doing a lot of different businesses, we honed in on this one business.
Okay, got you.
And what we did was we just developed this business.
Okay, got
And
it.
so we
From
went
an accounting standpoint?
from an accounting standpoint. My brother was doing the bookkeeping. I was doing the sales.
Okay, got it.
So I quadrupled the guy's business.
Wow. What?
Like I said, we were doing maybe 5 wedding cakes a weekend when I started. Now we were up to 15, 20 wedding cakes a weekend. We opened a whole catering line. Then we started a commission because my best friend was selling for this major Fortune 500 company. He would tell me what to do. And so I would bring that information over and use it. So we started a commission structure at this business. So I was making more than anybody in the place. And I realized then that the salespeople were usually the highest paid
Yes.
in the company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the way I got into sales. I came out as an entrepreneur straight out of college. Didn't work for anybody. Worked with my brother, and just hit the streets, the South Side Chicago, selling catering, and having distributors, and it was a phenomenal experience. Guess who I got to work with back then? I got to work with when Jesse Jackson was running for president.
Okay.
Because we would do cakes that were specialty cakes. So we could do a cake that looked like a White House.
Okay.
So we did a cake like that was like a White House for him. I got to work with the owner of South Sheen.
Okay.
So we started meeting the elite African Americans on the South Side of Chicago. And again, you're talking the South Side of Chicago. And when you go back into that era, I graduated in '84.
Okay.
So that era was in the middle of the crack epidemic in the major cities. But it was the idea. So I had friends, and this is what I wrote about in my first book. I had friends going in the opposite direction, and here I was, an entrepreneur trying to make it, and the outlook was totally different. The mindset was different, and that's something that you have to bring to anything that you do. Is 2 things: that mindset and that attitude.
Right.
You know.
That's right.
And so that was what started me, and I still use that same energy from then because we had nothing. I mean, when I got out of school, he literally bought me my first suit. He said,
Wow.
I got your suit for you, man. He said, when you get home, I got a job for you.
Interesting.
So I never interviewed. Now, let me tell you the second dilemma, though. I had this little girlfriend that I was in love with. And I said, baby, I want to marry you. She said, dude, you only making $50 a week. She said, I don't think so. So let's check this out. She lived and for people that's not from Chicago, they wouldn't know this, but she lived in the south suburbs of Chicago in this little town, Harvey, Illinois. And Harvey was the suburb back in the day.
Right.
But they had these little projects, like these little row houses. And so I took her over there, and I said, with $50 a week, I said the apartments are like $200 a month. I said, if I get this apartment, you know, and we move in, I'll have $50 over and blah, blah, blah. And she said, you out your mind. She said, but check this out. This is the best sales job I ever did in my life. Cause we were having a baby.
Right.
And I had been asking her to marry me since college, and she was like, she's one of those girls, she's very realistic. She was like, you know, we don't have no money, we're gonna kill each other.
Right.
And I kept saying we could make it on love.
We can make it.
We could make it on love. So one day, I was in the store, and I said, man, I gotta get this girl to marry me, because Dad was telling me, he was like, if you don't get a real job, because my dad is old school, World War II veteran.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? You not making money unless you working for somebody.
Right, okay.
That's his mind.
Okay,
And when he found out that I was making $50 a week, this is before we set the commission structure up, he was furious at my older brother. As a dad would be, you know, you coming out of college, he's thinking, you know, you could make money, you know, because he's old school. He never graduated from high school, never. So he wanted to see me do well. So he said, either you get a real job, or he said, there's one man too many in this house. I said, I wonder who he talking about. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened when my wife, we got married. One day her car broke down on the side of the road on the Dan Ryan. And anybody that's not familiar, that's the main expressway through Chicago. And so she called me. I don't even remember. You know, we didn't have cell phones back then. I don't know how she got in contact with me. I have no idea. But when I got there, she was like, you gonna get a real job. Because we had this little baby girl, and we was like.
And were you still making the $50 and $50?
It went up now. It was like I was up to a couple of hundred. Because we were building the business. I was making $250, $300, but it was cash. But I didn't have the insurance. I didn't have all the other things. So I went to my brother, and I remember telling him, I said, man, you know, Donna's like, hey, this gotta go. So I went to an interview, and it was for selling copiers. When I went on the interview, the guy said, you have to make 15 calls a day on businesses, and you have to show these copiers 2 times a day. And he said, if you do that, you can make $50,000 a year. I almost fell out my seat. Here I am, I'm a kid from the projects.
Yes.
That just hustle, you know, hustle my way through high school, hustle my way through college. Now, this guy is telling me I can make 50 grand.
Yep.
I said, I'm gonna do 30 calls, and I'm gonna show it 4 times a day.
Right.
He said, you got the job, but you gotta buy a minivan in order to carry the equipment, the copiers.
Oh, okay. Right.
This was straight up knocking on doors, selling copiers. You get a draw, but if you don't meet your draw for 2 months or 3 months, you get fired.
Wow.
And you know what I said? I said, this is the best opportunity of my life.
Okay.
See, again, it's perspective.
Yes.
It's
Why
perspective.
do you feel that way?
Because he said 50,000 a year. My friends was making 20.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
So you just saw the opportunity.
I saw the opportunity.
Now that you could do it, Yeah.
Because of what I had done before. I had no doubt in the ability when he said the plan. See, when somebody tells you the steps, he said,
Right.
if you make 15 cold calls a day, you knock on 15 doors, businesses,
Right. Right. Right.
up and down the street, you know,
Yeah.
real estate companies,
Right.
you know, pharmacists, whatever, doctor's offices, wherever you go.
Yeah.
And he said, what you would do is you would go in and you had these copiers on a gurney, like a gurney that you lay in. So we had to buy
How many copiers you would have on a gurney?
you had two of them on one gurney and then one on another gurney. And what you did was you covered them up. So you had a cover on each of them.
Okay.
And some of, so that people couldn't see them. And you would walk in the door and you say, I have a opportunity I'd like to share with you. Would you like to make more money, spend less time in your business, and get to more people? And they would be like, what? Sure, who wouldn't? I say, I'll be right back. I'll run out, grab a copier off the gurney, grab the gurney and roll it into the business. You plug it up, and you start making color copiers for them, showing them how to market their business using the copier. So you turn something that you would make copies with paper, like just doing copies inside of the business. You showed them how to use it as a marketing tool.
That is powerful.
So then at the end,
and tell me again, what was the first line that you said to them? How do you want to?
I say, I would say, would you like an opportunity to make more money, to spend less time in your business, and to get more customers?
Wow.
And they would say, who would say no?